First, Preston, Southwest Airlines was kind of the center of drama over holiday travel season.
Yeah, we had a lot of stories coming out of Southwest. I think that I have had more DMs on Twitter from major media asking for some comments from us on what exactly it is going on. Everybody was talking about it. You've had a lot of people stranded, and there was actually some pilots that had an interesting opinion here, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later with Jonathan Welch from our team. But antiquated systems plus a unique distribution model instead of the hub and spoke model, kind of having point to point, led to a disaster that happened right around the Christmas holiday. So we're going to bring in Jonathan Welch here. Jonathan is the senior travel editor for Flying Magazine, flyingmag.com. Jonathan, thanks for being here with us.
Oh, hello. It's a pleasure. Happy to join you.
Thanks for being here. And fortunately, I did not travel for the holidays, so I was not stuck in that mess. But for a lot of Americans, it was a disaster, kind of starting off with literally the perfect storm, right? We had a massive weather system impact, some really major air hubs across the country. And then the dominoes just kept falling for Southwest Airlines. What happened overall?
Right. Well, you have this weather coming in at the busiest possible time, and we're at one of the places where it was really bad in Denver is it's not a hub because Southwest doesn't have hubs, but it is a busy airport for them. So it just sort of rippled from there. And now the interesting thing is that pilots and other employees differ quite a bit with the company as far as what caused the problem. The employees will tell you that problems with inadequate staffing and the antiquated scheduling system that we've heard a lot about were pretty much to blame, while the company will say it was more the weather that, this sort of one-time act of God situation that really hurt them. But it's been pretty well known through the industry that, they've had meltdowns like this in the past. They've never been quite this bad. And each time what some of the pilots have told me, both on, one-to-one and through their pilots union, is that they've been warning the company for decades now about some of these problems. And they say that the company has ignored them, and that's what led to the problems over the holidays. They keep referring to the scheduling system called SkySolver as, being like the pinnacle of mid-90s technology. So that kind of sets the tone.
So, Jonathan, we were talking a little bit earlier about some of the ways that they could have solved this, some of the ways that other airlines have solved for this problem. Obviously, Southwest was the only one who was affected. So what are some of the things that they need to address immediately, whether it's systems or whether it's processes or if it's employees? What do they need to address right now?
Well, I think revamping their scheduling software is a big thing, because that's having crews in place to take over flights, at a moment's notice is that's the sort of precision they rely on. Another, now I'm sure a lot of other airlines will say, I told you so, you should have gone to a hub and spoke system a long time ago. And there's something to be said for that, because with the hub and spoke, they will say that having a hub is like having a home. You go from the hub out to the destination and back, and that can be great for pilots and other crew members. It helps them, organize their time, and it helps everyone organize the airline's movements a bit better. But it's costly, and Southwest has always been known for saving money, and this is one of the ways they've done it, just by going point to point, one destination to the next to the next. The problem with that really showed up during the holiday season was you get farther and farther away from from where you started, for example, and where some of the crews have to get back to. You still have crews that are based in certain cities that they need to get back to before they kind of start a new cycle. And with the point-to-point system, you might be very far away from your home base when a problem like this strikes. And so they wound up with a lot of crews stranded. Now, if you're doing hub and spoke, there's the sense that you're never too far from home, and it's easier to bring people back in when problems like this happen. And I think the timing and the intensity of these weather problems over the holidays just really worked against the point-to-point arrangement. And it wasn't all that tough on the traditional hub and spoke. So just one of those things where the planets align against you.
So Jonathan, talk to us about company culture at Southwest. Obviously, Southwest has been known it's been beloved by its employees for a really long time, and some of that sentiment seems to have changed. There have been some reports that have come out on social media that have directly called out some of the management and the way that they handled this. I know that the CEO took what some people called a lot too long to come out and make a public statement and to rectify the situation for passengers. Talk to us a little bit about the Southwest culture, the company culture. Where did it come from, and where is it at today?
Right. I think the key word about that you would come up with for Southwest culture is engagement. The executives, particularly the dearly departed and longtime CEO from, the early 80s up through 2004, a man named Herb Kelleher, who was part of the founding team of the airline, was the CEO. And he fostered this theme, really, that this was the fun airline. It was fun for passengers, fun for employees. It was kind of now, the airline started service in 1971, so you have to, as painful as it may be, you have to sort of transport yourself back to 1971 to get a sense for what fun meant. But it was kind of a party atmosphere, and passengers loved it. The employees loved it as well. And they just didn't have a lot of hard and fast rules. And one of the things that I remember Kelleher saying in an interview was that if somebody did something totally out of line and got in trouble for it, they would take that person aside and talk to them and say, okay, that's too much, you can't do that. But they wouldn't bring on an entire new policy saying, okay, now you have to wear a jacket and tie to work every day, that sort of thing. Like if someone shows up in a t-shirt and jeans, they get a talking to, right? But they still basically had, the dress code was casual Friday all the time. And that culture continued after Kelleher's retirement. That's about 20 years ago. But most people say it started to slowly fade. And part of the problem, they'll tell you, especially the pilots, is that Kelleher was, and the people who worked with him were operations people. They focused on, moving airplanes around, moving passengers. It was strictly an operations thing, where the folks who have run the company since then, and it's like this in a lot of industries, are more, came up through the finance ranks. They're more chief financial officer types who were promoted to CEO. So they're always, they just, it's part of the culture to cut costs and kind of have this minimal staffing model that's, works well as long as everything else is working well. But that was another, that's been cited as another problem that made some of the difficulties worse over the holidays. And what I've seen, what employees have mentioned, and you see it all over social media, as you mentioned before, the question keeps coming up that they'll say, what happened to Southwest Airlines. You know, they'll say this was a great place to work, and it's not the same anymore. And I've found that, customers are saying the same thing. Even some passengers who I heard interviewed over the holidays, whose holiday vacations were completely, ruined by these problems. They're still saying, well, we still love Southwest. We hope they can bounce back because we've been flying them for, decades in some cases. So there might be enough goodwill there to bring them through this. That's what's going to be interesting to watch, because their longtime customers are still, a lot of them anyway, are still pulling for Southwest.
So I think that takes us, kind of into our next segment, and we'd love to keep you around for just a few more minutes. As we talk about goodwill and we talk about, public sentiment, obviously stock price reflects this. And it seems as though this might just be a blip on Southwest's radar in the grand scheme of things. When you look at their recovery, as soon as they started announcing their reparations and things that they were going to be doing for their passengers, it seems as though it popped back. I mean, stock traded down between 10 and 11% for about 3 days, and then it popped right back. So what does that goodwill have to do with the overall general market? Is the market telling us that Southwest is going to be just fine?
I think it is. I was watching the timeline as well. I believe it was the 30th when the announcement came from the company that they were returning to normal operations. And the sense I got from people I talked to was, well, we'll see how normal they are. But I think a combination of, of course, the weather relented, things. Airlines are able to put operations back together pretty quickly when they fall apart. And, they came right out and said they're going to make their customers whole. And by the way, in the interim, it might take a little while to figure out, because it's a lot of refunds they're talking about. So this program of, I believe it's 25,000 frequent flyer points as I think the way I interpret it is it's their way of saying, here's, for starters, we'll give you these points, and then we'll get back to you on the reparations, but they're coming. And I think that in the past, this Southwest is always, it has this reputation as being true to its word as a corporation. So I think people are just standing by and figuring that it's going to work out. There really aren't, from the passenger's point of view, as well as the employee point of view. I think of the pilots who enjoy flying for this company because of the autonomy they have and the camaraderie they feel. There just aren't a lot of places where you can find those qualities anymore. So there's an incentive, an underlying incentive for them to stick it out and see if they can put it back together.
I think Southwest would tell you that it is LUV, love.
Yep, it's all about love.
Oh, all about love. Isn't that the greatest? When there was one of the social media posts that I saw when the guy referred to his love for the company, that there was one of the pilots, of course, he spelled it LUV, and it's like, there you go. That's the culture. They never let it go.
Well, Jonathan, thank you for joining us to give us some perspective about this. We appreciate it. And if people want to find more of your content, where can they go to do that in Flying Magazine?
Oh, they can just look under my name there, or look under the travel destinations tab. The stories will pop up there. But if you reference my name, Jonathan Welsh, you'll find it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jonathan. We appreciate it, and we'll have you back, hopefully, for better news when it comes to travel here on Business Air TV.
Terrific. Looking forward to it. Thanks.